Guys, it's been a good Friday so far. I've been knocking out a lot of stuff. Very busy Friday. And Christian went live earlier. I'm very proud of him. He stayed live for over an hour and talked to you guys. But when he walked past this sitting in here, he said a lot of you guys asked questions. So I'm going to make a whole video about it. This is one of my personal cars. I don't bring you guys a lot of my personal content for two reasons. One, I just don't. Two, a lot of guys out there trying to buy stuff. I'm a car guy and have a dealership. So traditionally everything's for sale. And sometimes people offer the right amount of money and things get sold. So I get tempted. So I try to keep that temptation away. My dad had very few vehicles he ever kept. That white Chevrolet truck is the only one from 1970s to current that he ever held on to. The 55 Chevy he had for about 20 years, but everything else, including my mom's car, he would sell when somebody walked in to buy it. Matter of fact, my mom was going home one day and realized she didn't have a car anymore because Dad sold it. So anyway, it's in your blood to buy and sell. I do try to keep a pretty cool personal collection, same way my brothers are also. But for me, it's very hard because it's in my blood to buy and sell. But this is my 1964 Chevy II Nova. This car was owned by a very good friend of mine, family friend, that actually just lost his father recently. And prayers to him and his family getting through that because I've experienced it, so I know. He had this car for 20 years, I believe, and I wasn't a big drag racing guy, but I did go to the drag strip quite often because that's where all my buddies hung out. And I saw this car. I loved it. It's been a orange and green. It's been like three different. Matter of fact, you can see, of course, the current color runs through the door jambs. This guy was a painter by passion, not by business, and he did this car, I think, 3 times. Somewhere on the car, oh yeah, you can see it right here. At one time it was orange with blue pinstripes, and then it was a different color combination. Then it was this black, and now it's this color. This paint job on this car is fully, completely like show-winning quality. Anywhere you take it, that's all paint. That's not anything but paint work. All of this smoked in carbon fiber. There's so many details to this car, it's crazy. The skulls on the hood. Awesome, awesome car. Jimmy Riddle's his name. Again, we've done a lot of stuff over the years. I think of him as a good friend. And again, always told him, I said, man, if you get rid of the car, I'd like to have it. I didn't think that day would ever come, but the day did come one day, and he said, Jay, are you serious about the car? And I was like, yeah. And he struggled with it. So he had it as a street car, then he had it as a small block race car. Then they went with a big block. And they did have trouble getting this car to hook, and it wouldn't go. And that's embarrassing when you get a car that doesn't go down the track, especially because this car was killer. Like, this car was competition, beyond competition. But he made a lot of changes. He changed out the whole back half. He did a whole front section. I should have took the hood off, but I'll do that in another video if you guys want to see it. In doing that, there's a lot of tweaking, a lot of working. And I guess he just kind of gave up. He got frustrated. He knew the car would go, but he had a lot of power under the hood. So he called me and said, Jay, this is the price if you want it. I said, that's fine. I'll take it. Met up with him a couple days later, towed the car home, sat in the garage for a while. This motor that's under the hood, it's a 565 big block, and it was actually in my race truck. Prior to us totaling the race truck, this was not the motor that was in it when it got totaled. This was the motor that had been in it for a long time. And the motor we put in it is what took it to its demise, which is in the new Kryptonite truck sitting across the street. That's a 638. I don't mind telling you guys what I got. No secrets with me. That's what I'm getting to with this car. We drive this car. I drive this car, but my brothers have driven it. I've driven it. I drive my daughters in it. It's one of their favorite cars to ride in. We go to car shows. We go to events. I've drove it to dinner. I love driving this car. It is a street car. It's on an ET Street Pro Mickey Thompson tire. It has brakes. It has lights. It has everything that you need of a street car. The wiper blades are not on it because of the big cow hood. So if you want to fault me on something that doesn't have wiper blades, I'll put wiper blades on if I need to. But this car is insured, titled in my personal name. It's a real, driven, insured, registered street car. And I love it. Now, it is on nitrous. This car makes about 950, just shy of 1,000 on motor. It did before its last freshening. It might make more than that now. And then we hit it with some nitrous. We have more nitrous we can hit it with, but currently we're hitting with a plate and with a progressive fogger system. It does have a grid in it. Induction Solutions flowed my intake, drilled it, did all the work there. Great guy to work with. We've got a newer style shifter, and all the components, Daniel and Jay in the speed shop part of things, supply there. Brian's helped along the way with this car, but it's so dependable. What I want to come together with, and I think a lot of you racers will agree, when I race this car, we very rarely go to the drag strip. When I do, Brian and Daniel, Daniel comes pretty much all the time. Brian's come a couple times. But anybody that's at the drag strip can attest, I don't even take the hood off this car. I don't want to go there and work. I'm going there to have a good time. It's kind of like when I go boating. I don't want to have a boat I have to work on, but I've had them. It sucks. We show up. I do trailer it there because typically it's me, and I do have to carry a generator to charge my battery and some other things and whatever. But I could drive this car to the racetrack, and I have driven this car to the racetrack before. But when we show up, we check the tire pressure, we do the drive, and we go into the lanes and race. I would like to see a real street competition where you drive your car. You don't have to drive it to the track, but you drive the car 15, 20, 25 miles. We go on like a 5-mile drive. That's okay. It knocks a ton of people out. Lots of race cars can't be driven. But I'd like to go on a long drive, come back, put fuel in the car, and go racing. No popping your hood, no adjusting things, no cool down time. If you have a real street car, you should be able to drive it. This car does not overheat. This car runs high 7s in the quarter mile. I'll tell you that. We race a lot of 1/8 miles, so I'm not going to tell you what it runs in the 1/8. You can do the math and figure it out. But it's a high 7 quarter mile race car. Last time I raced it, we were running 1/8 mile. I ran it out a little bit. I didn't go quite to the quarter. And the little app on my phone showed my fiance I was running 168 miles an hour. So I think it goes through the traps at a quarter in the 170 range. But it's a steel car, roll-up windows, dark tinted glass, which I love. Roll-up windows, windshield, all glass. These windows still roll down. It has a safety cage in it, of course, nitrous bottle, gauges, full dash. A lot of people see this car and see this. So side exit is not legal for the class we run because of street class. This car has full exhaust. Even though it's loud, it's got a big motor, it does have full exhaust under it. And I have been known to dent that, putting it in the trailer. They made a joke on me one time. Drag racing guys say, let's race off the trailer. Let's race off the trailer, meaning you show up and go racing, no testing. Well, they made a joke one time that I would love to run off the trailer, but I couldn't get out the trailer because I was there by myself. And if you've ever tried to unload a car, a low car, the exhaust gets hung up on the ramp. And sure enough, it got hung up and I couldn't get out the car because it was against the wall. So I was stuck in the car, running. And so if I wanted to run somebody off the trailer, J.W. Davis couldn't run off the trailer because he was stuck in his trailer. It was funny. Everybody got a good laugh out of it. It does have a parachute. It kind of makes it look menacing. We don't use the parachute. Matter of fact, they had probably put some dirty underwear or something in there, so if I ever threw the parachute, it's probably some big old drawers with skid marks or something. It does have a kill switch in the back. Just for some guys that may not know, why does a car have a kill switch like this? Shows the voltage of the battery. We run a 16-volt battery, which is in the trunk. 16-volt battery. Got the MagnaFuel 500 system, the kill switch over there, and the fuel cell. Now, the fuel cell's not very large, so I do have to stop for fuel, and I have been known to put pump gas in this car, and it will run on it. It's probably not good. Kill switch. In case something happens, the fuel pump's going to be running, everything's going to be running on this car. Let's just say it tumbles and it rips the motor out. That happens in drag racing. When it rips the motor out, the fuel pump's still running, it's squirting fuel everywhere. The water pump's still running, everything's still running. So having a kill switch here, and we also have one in the car. The race trucks are the same way. That's just for safety. It's required. if you're racing, especially mud racing or drag racing. But we usually do 2, one in the cab, one here. It also kills all the power, so if this car's sitting, which it does sit for months on end, it doesn't drain itself down as bad with all the little things running. It doesn't have a radio to reset, so we're good on that. The bumpers have been patinaed to look like old school metal bumpers. Those are not metal, they are fake. One of the only fake things on this car. License plates, parachute. What else, Christian? I know they asked something else. Bead locks in the rear. What else? Yeah, so high 7-second car. And guys that are drag racers can determine what the 8th mile is. And again, I'm not a secret guy. Some of these guys, and that's what kind of kills me about this. The class we run, I enjoy everybody that's in that competition. We're in Richmond, Virginia, if you're following us from afar. And some people come in from out of town. It's a pretty much localized race, and it's usually about 20, 24 racers. But most of them have race cars that they consider street cars. This car is a race car in how fast it goes, but it's actually really a street car, and that's what I enjoy. And anybody that knows me, the last time I showed up, this car was covered in dust. Like I think somebody wrote "wash me" on it. It was filthy. But me going to the drag strip, making a couple passes, takes out a lot of stress. It takes off a whole lot of headaches, and I enjoy it because I get to go with my brothers. I enjoy it because it's good camaraderie. I enjoy it because most of those guys know that we're out there pretty much right with them to kick their butt with a full-blown race car that they spent all month working on. I didn't even wash my car. I pulled it out, I put some gas in it, and I charged my battery. That's it. That's all we do to this car. Daniel makes me change the oil sometimes and change the spark plugs, but other than that, that's usually on Thursday night. We're racing on Friday. This car works. We adjusted the suspension. Doug, that's a good family friend of ours that does some tuning. You've seen him in some videos mentioned before. He adjusted it. We put some new style shocks on the back. He tweaked the front end. It's got some limiting straps. Between what him, Daniel, Brian, and all did in the shop, it works. This car makes a pass. Very rarely stumbles or has a problem. We did have an issue with a micro switch, which is the part that makes the nitrous work. We did have a problem with blowing the tires away, meaning we spun on the line because we put too much power to it. But very rarely does this car not make an A to B pass, dependable, and we bring it back to the trailer, and everybody else is taking their hood off, jacking their car up, changing their plugs, doing all this computer stuff, spending the 2 hours or 3 hours of break fully working with a team. We're sitting in the trailer, eating some snacks, watching everybody else run around in circles, maybe joking about the car being dusty. We just have a good time. So that is my 1964 Chevrolet Nova. Chevy II is what it would really be called. Shoebox. Everybody's got a different name for it. Car. Thanks to Davis Off-Road and Performance for all the things they've done. Thanks to Doug for the tuning and stuff he's done. Thanks to Jimmy Riddle for an amazing car and paint job. And really wheeling it on back, one more cool thing. This motor was the first big motor that I ever purchased, and I actually purchased it from the same guy. It came out of a different race car. It went into the mud truck, and then we stepped it up to a nitrous motor, but it's the same block, the same motor that has been tortured through mud, sleet, snow, shine, and now in a race car. So pretty cool circle. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you caring about it. Again, it stays tucked away. It stays covered up most times in the trailer, or it stays in my garage. I'll drive it home just before it gets too cold, and I'll put it away for the winter on the rack, but I'm going to drive it home. Might stop by it's a little loud going through a drive-through, but I have done that. It's a little obnoxious. We should have done it on video. That would have been some pretty good content. But overall, cool car, street car. If you're in the area and you have a race car, street car, this class that we run is at Virginia Motorsports Park because it's close to home for us. I don't get a chance to travel. If you want to get part of that, we'll drop it in somewhere in the comments or something what it is. I think it's called Virginia's Most Wanted list. And I definitely would like y'all's input on a real street car race. Don't open the hood. Don't do anything. Run the car. If the car breaks, put it in your trailer and watch. But if not, keep on going rounds until you can't any longer. That's what this car does, and it's a real street car. I think that's what real street cars should be about. So there we go. Other cool stuff in here. And again, we don't keep much, but this building does have some of the stuff that we have kept over the years, and thankful to my dad for all the many blessings. And we are out.